Does everybody have an individual mic? No. We spread the germs. And allowed. Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We won't do an introduction of the panelists individually, as that's already been done. We're just going to jump straight into it to speak about partnerships for cancer funding innovation. And I'm really, really glad that we're coming after Professor Kenneth's very informative talk that kind of sets the groundwork for what we're going to be talking about in this panel here. If you've been attending the various kind of talks and lectures throughout the course of yesterday and today, you would have heard repeatedly that cancer is one of the leading causes of death here worldwide and here in Malaysia. When we speak about breast cancer in particular, recent statistics show that Malaysia recorded a lower 5-year relative survival rate at 66.8%. If you compare that to Japan at 88.9% and Singapore at 80.3%, we're quite far behind. And with all the various screening and diagnosis tests available, as well as continuous advancements in research that have seen better treatments and care, which have led to better outcomes for patients, we really shouldn't be having these numbers in Malaysia, but we are. Does the answer lie in partnerships for cancer funding innovation to enable more patients to have better survival outcomes? That's what our three panelists are here today to answer. Deepthi, I'm going to begin with you. We're going to jump straight in. Why is this topic important to you?
And I hope the microphone works. Okay. This should be working now. Hello everyone, my name is Deepthi and I'm the General Manager for Roche Pharma. Why am I here today? Of course, pharma is seen as one of the challenging aspects of cancer, right? With the rising cost of drugs that Professor Kenneth has so fairly shared with us. I think I'm here today, but as a person individually, because I think healthcare is a topic for everyone. And therefore partnerships is an important topic. And why is healthcare a topic for everyone? Of course, individually, health is wealth, right? And it's important we take care of ourselves. But I think also in the financial world, having a healthy society ensures we have enough consumers. Having a healthy society ensures we have enough employees and people to work for the financial sector. For the economy, it's important that we have a healthy society so that we can contribute to the GDP meaningfully and take Malaysia to even greater heights. So health is a topic that's for everyone, and therefore everyone should be invested in health, not just the direct players in the healthcare sector, but also everyone else. So I feel like that's something very, very close to my heart. But we are speaking specifically of oncology here and cancer, and you've mentioned all the statistics, and I again feel like cancer is something that just doesn't impact one person, it impacts the entire family, thereby the entire community, the society, and again, it's important that we all come together to solve for this problem. And if we do not, then the rising costs will be a challenge for each and every one of us. So I think partnerships and working together in this space is super critical. And so yeah, we are here to discuss how partnerships can really solve for these challenges.
Okay, and partnerships require at least two parties. So Dr. Flora, let's hear from you. Why is this topic important to you?
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Flora. I am a clinical oncologist from the public sector. So, but I'm also here as an individual, like Dr. Deepthi. So I think as everyone knows that cancer care has evolved over time, yeah, with a lot of new advancements and new medications, novel therapies, and just now there was some discussion about NGS testing, because we are looking at molecular and biomarker, yeah, for individualized, personalized cancer care. But however, I think not every patient is able to have access to all these advancements, molecular testing and new treatment. Yeah. So I am here today because I am interested and open to discussion about partnerships, innovative funding, because personally I would like to see more patients having access to cancer care, to drugs that would make a difference to the patients. Yeah, I think we have also talked about value just now. It's not just about the survival, the treatment outcome, but also in terms of the patient's journey as a cancer patient, their quality of life, a drug which has minimal side effects if possible, and of course more affordable so that more patients can have access to a particular treatment that makes a difference to them.
Thank you for that. There we go. And the clock strikes again. There you go.
And of course we can't, thank you for that, Dr. Flora. Of course we can't have a conversation about innovative funding without including the people who are impacted most by innovative funding, and that would be the patients themselves. But before you hear from Chusan, please join me in congratulating Chusan and giving her a warm round of applause as she celebrates her 100th round of chemotherapy just very recently in the last couple of weeks. Chusan is Breast Cancer Welfare Association Malaysia's most inspiring survivor, I would say, not just for her 100 rounds of chemotherapy, but for many other reasons, as you're about to hear shortly. Just this morning, she led members on a 6.5 kilometer walk around a field, and she's come straight for that. So she's already hit her 10,000 steps for the day, no issues whatsoever. So, Chusan, let's perhaps start with okay, maybe a quick overview of, you were diagnosed with breast cancer 16 years ago? Maybe just a quick overview of what that journey was like when you first started out.
All right, thank you for having me here. I'm Chusan. I'm a 16 years breast cancer survivor and 10 years metastatic breast cancer survivors. So I'm here today because of the innovative drugs. Yeah. So I should thank the pharma company, that's Roche. Yeah.
We did not pay her.
No. But it's actually. Hello.
Yeah.
Hi. It's sincerely from my heart because surviving 10 years is a very, very, very challenging journey. And then how I success in having my 100 cycle just 2 weeks ago to finish my target therapy 100 cycles. Yeah. I take this challenge because I think my dream, of course, first is my family and also my career. Because I wish. Hello?
Yep.
When I was diagnosed, my kids were very small. So my dream, of course, is to see them graduate and work, and I succeed. Yeah. Now they are working, they have graduated. And another thing is my career, because I hope I can work until I'm a retired teacher. I work until I get my pension. Yeah, full pension. Hi. All right. So I think about the innovative drugs. I think I survived because of these drugs. Yeah, the innovative, especially during my MBC when I had my metastasis.
Why don't you use
I
this?
think that one's better. Yeah, that's right.
Hello. Hi. Hi. Can you hear me? Yeah. So it's the drugs that is effective, I think.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm the OOP model out of my own pocket. Yeah. So I think financially I'm still quite stable, and also with the help of the patient assisted program. So I survived. Another thing is, of course, the effectiveness of the drugs. Yeah, and the side effects I still can manage. Yeah.
Chusan, I want to talk about something that you went through as part of your kind of cancer journey. You know, we've had many conversations about this in the past. Now, when you were first diagnosed with breast cancer, you know, you went through treatment. You were still a government servant at that point in time. Chusan is a retired school teacher, mathematics teacher actually. And but then later on, when your cancer metastasized, something happened when it came to your treatment. You had to kind of make some hard choices. Maybe tell us about that.
Yeah, because I'm a government servant, so when my cancer came back 10 years ago, I was hoping to have free treatment again. You know, as a government servant, maybe I can go to public hospital to get the innovative drugs. But I went to two. I was denied for the treatment. And even one of the doctors told me, you know, maybe I have only a few months to live and go back, do some spiritual healing, you know, some alternative kind of healing treatments and all this. So I was quite worried and sad at the time. And I went for third options, that is to go to private. That's out of my own pocket money. Yeah. Then I was quite lucky and blessed. My cancer came back. Actually, the timing was right, at the right time. So actually, I also feel that I have this oncologist who is very good and introduced me to this patient assistance program and introduced me to the innovative drugs that I will take, targeted therapy. Yeah. So until now, it's 100 cycle, and I think it's quite effective for me as an MBC patient. That's why I'm here today. Yeah.
Chusan, you know, this story of yours, yes, inspiring. You know, Dr. Flora, Chusan's experience is, if we're all being honest here and laying our cards on the table, not unheard of. People do go into public hospitals and they are told, as cancer patients, especially metastatic cancer patients, they are told to their faces that you have no options left with us, right? As a doctor who works in the public healthcare system here in Malaysia, what kind of challenges do you face in achieving equitable access to the right treatment at the right time, like Chusan had, for patients that you see in public hospitals?
Testing?
Yes.
Are you able to hear? Okay. I think first of all, I would like to thank Madam Chusan for sharing her story and her experiences with us. I think it wasn't easy for you at that time, even from the very beginning and at the time of the relapse of the disease. And I would like to congratulate you actually for going through that journey and being here today. And you have just done your 6.6 kilometer walk this morning. But I acknowledge that, I mean, what you have gone through, I think it was more than about 10 years ago. It is not something that is unheard of. I believe more patients actually had the same experience as Madam Chusan, yeah, with regards to having limited access to medication, including novel therapies. So, I mean, in the public sector, I mean, we all know that there are so many challenges, limited resources, limited patient access to cancer care, including medications and new medications, yeah, novel therapies. But I would say over the last decade, there has been a lot of involvement, improvement in the public healthcare system in terms of access to newer therapies, to newer advancements in treatment. I mean, it's not just systemic for cancer treatment. There's also other things, including radiotherapy and so on. Yeah. So apart from the existing budget, which we know is limited, and in the public sector, of course, we acknowledge that individual health is important, but in the public sector, it is also crucial for us to look at the overall picture the whole population that we are serving. So with that limited budget, we need to look at it at a wider perspective so that the treatment can be sustainable to more patients. And apart from the existing budget, within the hospital or within the government, there are actually other options. Yeah, for us as clinicians, there are other platforms, alternative funding, and innovative funding that we are, talking about today for us to obtain these medications for our patients.
Okay.
So let's get into that then, innovative funding. Deepthi, how can the private sector then come in at this point and address some of the challenges that Dr. Flora was talking about, specifically when you talk about things like limited access to resources and to newer therapies?
I mean, we have to acknowledge, and I think Professor Kenneth in his speech spoke about different ways of funding the healthcare system. We have to acknowledge that ultimately the most sustainable form of funding is when it comes centrally, right, from a government budget. But in the meanwhile, while we are building towards that and while we are moving towards that, I think the private sector has to acknowledge firstly that there is a gap. And I think acknowledgement is very important. We have to know that. And that with that acknowledgement comes accountability, right? So we have to act as well in order to bridge that gap. And it is equally a responsibility of the private setting as much as it is of the government, right? I feel. And I think we have to collaborate to close the gap a little bit by a little bit till we reach there. I think the private sector collectively, I'm surprised. Yesterday we were receiving awards and I was surprised to see how many people are involved in cancer today, right? And if we all were to put our collective genius and our collective resources together, I think many more patients like Madam Chusan can actually have access to high quality healthcare. So I think partnerships is going to be the most crucial factor, because any individual organization, this is a mammoth task and cannot be covered by one organization trying to say, I'm going to, help all patients like Madam Chusan achieve their full goal. But if we all put our resources together, if we all work together, or at least like-minded organizations come together to work together on this, I think that would be the most important aspect of this. And then partnering has to come with the mindset of sustainability and has to come with the mindset of making an impact. And I think that to me is where the private sector comes in to bring our resources. And our resources does not just mean money, but also our resources in terms of our human capital, and our collective accountability in solving for this problem. So I feel partnership, if we all, those different people sitting in this room representing different organizations, if we were to join hands, we can cover the gap till the government figures out how to make this a sustainable solution. So that's how I see it, and Roche is super committed, not just as an individual, which I am, but as a company as well. I'm glad to be part of an organization that is committed to partnering and supporting as much as possible to bridge this gap.
Dr. Flora, when you mentioned innovative funding earlier on, perhaps would you mind just taking us through what are some of the components of innovative funding models, and perhaps to you, what would be one of the more crucial components?
So, yeah, I think innovative funding is one of the one of the ways that we can close the gap a bit and improve accessibility of medications to our patients. What is the most crucial component for me, I think, is looking for that one drug, identifying which drug or which drugs to prioritize in the innovative funding. Yeah, because when we talk about like new therapies, it's always about what is the cost and what is the efficacy, whether it works well for the patient, and not just about survival outcome, but we are also interested in the value, quality of life, side effects, course, side effects as minimal as possible so that patient has good quality of life and are able to, continue on with their daily, day-to-day activities. So a drug that can make a change to the patient's life and journey with a reasonable cost and able to have access to more patients as opposed to something that is very expensive, exorbitant, but doesn't really have a great impact on the patient. Yeah, I think that is the most crucial thing in innovative, like trying to find that particular drug that makes a difference. And we can actually do this in multiple platforms. For example, co-funding with multiple funders, alternative funding from NGOs in collaboration with the private sector, innovative funding model. Yeah, actually we do have one particular project that we have started in Sabah to improve the access of medication to patients, working closely with the private sector and NGOs, yeah, to have more access to certain medications for our patients.
Are you able to tell us a little bit more about this program, or is it not to be divulged at this point in time? I won't put you in a tight spot.
I would say that it is a co-funding model, multiple funders, both the private sector as well as NGO. But the NGO is there is another body that is governed by our State Health Department. So it's a collaboration between private and public. And the aim is to improve the access of a drug that we feel that can make a difference, yeah, to the patient's outcome. Yeah. So improve access to patients who are not able to afford the drug. Yeah.
Chusan, from your own journey, right? What really made the difference when it came to what many people here are going to consider terribly successful treatment outcome? I know you're going to say drugs. But I want to hear a little bit more about this relationship that you also built with your oncologist, as well as maybe how you benefited from the patient assistance program.
All right. Of course, I totally agree with what just now Dr. Kenneth said. For cancer care, we don't measure in terms of cost, but it's the value. So I'm one of the very good example of the effective drugs, and also I live a very good quality of life after the treatment. And of course, I always, as a patient point of view, I think the right oncologist is also very important. Because my oncologist, I think I have a trust in him. I believe in him. Because as patients without any cancer knowledge, a lot of things we just listen and follow what the doctors say. Yeah. So for me, when I was diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer, liver is a metastasis to my liver, and then he advised me to take this drug, that drug. Of course, financially I'm not that stable, just a government teacher, and of course first thing we consider is the cost of the drugs, and after that, how effective is the drug, and then whether I can bear all the side effects and can I live a quality life. If I spend all my money and then there's no quality of life, will be better, all these kind of things I consider so much. But I think because of my oncologist, yeah, he assured me that I asked a lot of questions and a good communication with him, and he assured me that, yeah, I think you can try and do it. And of course, before I started with this targeted therapy, I have to come out with my own money. Yeah, to pay the certain drugs, to pay the cost of this drug. Then later only I can enjoy the benefits of the patient assistance program. And he's the one who helped me to do all this. I have no knowledge of all this before I joined all this awareness program. Yeah. So as survivors, very much we listen to our oncologist. So I think meeting the right oncologist, getting the right information is very important. And I have a good rapport with my oncologist. We are just like friends. That's why he celebrated my 100 cycles in his clinic and with all the team of nurses and doctors. So I was actually very blessed, yeah, to have a good oncologist. And also, of course, the program that I'm enjoying now, if not because of the patient assistance program, I will be here today. And I don't think I can survive until 10 years with these innovative drugs. Yeah, so I'm still surviving and living a very good quality of life. and I achieved all my dreams. Yeah? My, of course, top dream is after retire, I can go to aurora hunting, and I did it. Yeah. Then I hiked in Korea. I went hiking. I'm a hiker. So I live my life as good or better than when I'm not a cancer patient. So it's a blessing actually. Yeah.
If you were going to hear about Chusan's travel exploits, we would need a separate panel for that all together. And on that note, a quick time check, please. How many minutes do we have left? Another 20 minutes. Okay. Well, we can ask a few more questions then, for example. Deepti, could you please help us understand, what are some of the other funding models that can be introduced in our healthcare system to support patient outcomes?
Yeah. So I think patient assistance programs is something that most innovative pharma companies offer. Roche itself has benefited 12 to 1,300 patients this year on different kinds of patient assistance programs where we offer free cycles to our patients who can't afford the treatment. We also offer free diagnostic support if that's what's needed. But I think besides that, like I said, partnering is an important aspect of this. So we have, and it's important to understand the need gaps first. So we understood in one of the places where we are partnering now that the main challenge was while the patients could pay for a certain amount of cycles of treatment, and cancer typically is multiple cycles of treatment, right? Well, the patients could afford certain cycles of treatment, they could not continue the treatment for a longer duration. This is where we came up with a co-funding model, which means we as Roche fund certain cycles, the patient funds certain cycles, and we brought in other partners, including the hospitals and the delivery centers who could fund a certain set of cycles. So Roche has already implemented a co-funding model in multiple different hospital settings where patients can access funding from a group of funders so that they can continue to live like Madam Chusan, a long life by continuing the therapy. We have also looked at co-payment models where patients have absolutely zero money, and how can we bring together different kinds of funding options. Again, where Roche supports some of this, but Roche alone cannot do this. So we again bring in more partners who are happy and supporting some of this. We have even worked with Zakat, which is a religious fund, and we have looked at how we can bring them together to support the funding for women's cancer care. So that's called co-payment models. We have also implemented outcome-based payment models, which is what I think Professor Kenneth was referring to. You do not pay for the cycle of treatment in cancer, but you pay for the outcome. So if you actually see the value and the outcome, you then pay for the treatment, and if you do not see the value, we refund some money back to you. So outcome-based payment models have also been implemented, and there are various ways, like I said, but all of this can only happen, like one company, one partner alone cannot take the burden of this entire challenge that we face today. And this only works when we have like-minded partners who come into the journey with us, and then we work together with them to co-create this kind of partnership that sort of supports patients in the long run.
Okay.
And we are open to more ideas, more solutions, more partners, so that we can all work together to have more Madam Chusans in the world.
Well, let's get into that, some more of those ideas. Dr. Flora, from a healthcare practitioner's perspective, right, what do you think are some of the kind of critical or key elements, rather, that make
For a successful
public-private partnership, and particularly interested in this because I remember seeing on Professor Kenneth's slide on the health white paper, public-private partnership.
well under Pillar 1. So.
Okay. Okay. So I think like what Dr. Deepti has mentioned, like-minded people coming together with a common goal. Yeah, whether you're from the public sector or in the private sector, but we need to have a common goal, i.e. to improve access, and to lessen the inequity, yeah, of cancer care. And I think like each of the partner should be able to understand their role and responsibility and must be committed. Each partner must be committed in the partnership for things to work out. We need to be like having a common goal and to start the ball rolling. Yeah, because if let's say it's just like one sector, sometimes things don't go that fast. But when you combine your resources together, your ideas together, pulling of resources together, things get moving faster. Yes.
Deepthi, I've just been informed that we've just got a couple of minutes left, so I'm going to ask the same question to you, but also to kind of ask you to use that as an opportunity to kind of give us some last words, from your perspective on, what makes for really successful private-public partnerships.
Of course, I think Dr. Flora covered the like-minded partners, but I also feel like fluidity is very important. We should have a clear vision of what you're trying to achieve, but as you're bringing partners into the journey, having a clear vision but being flexible on the how, so that each partner can contribute to it, and having fluidity of ideas and thought processes and approaches is one thing that I observed in whatever partnerships I have done, that having not a rigid approach towards solving the problem in only one way, but being open to other ideas. I think that to me was a key. Typically in the corporate sector, we decide the what and then we decide the how, and then you just want to follow that, right? But having that fluidity of thought process is very important. And then an empowered team, because I think the team is closest to the problem. And I feel like ensuring that they have the power to make decisions on the ground, change the direction and apply for that fluidity based on the partners. I think that's very, very important. And those two, like in addition to having trusted partners with an aligned vision, fluidity and empowerment of the group is very important in doing this. Since you asked for my last words, I'm going to close with that. I think, like I said, while Ministry of Health and the government tries to solve these major problems in healthcare, I think it is equally the private sector's responsibility, and I as Roche fully acknowledge and take accountability for that. And therefore, today I'm sort of inviting more partners to come and join us on the journey. And we are open to different ideas, we are open to different thoughts, and to see how we can solve the problem while we all wait for the master plan that Professor Kenneth has sort of laid out for us. Roche would be very keen to looking forward to working with anyone who's aligned on this vision. Come visit our booth. And let's have the discussions and let's solve for these big challenges. We can't solve for world peace, but we can solve for one patient at a time for sure.
Well said. I'm going to leave the absolute last word to Chusan. Chusan, a message for all of those out there battling cancer, thinking about funding, treatment for cancer, thinking about living for cancer. What do you have to say to them?
Yeah, of course, it's the cost of the drugs. Hopefully, more MBC patients can be more affordable for all the MBC patients. Because I think through my journey, they all think that MBC patients have few more not worth to be treated. This is what I experienced. Yeah, because the cost of the drug is very expensive, and there are more patients can be treated up there. So maybe for MBC patient, they have few years to live. So it's not worth giving the expensive medicine for us. So my friends, even my Pink Inspire friends, our MBC friends, say we hope to have more affordable drugs and then more accessible, and hopefully the public hospital, we can have more drugs to be included in the blue books, so we can we can at least enjoy the, the benefits. And especially for the M40 group like us, have to be taken care of, because I think a lot of benefits go to the B40. So we are the M40, most of us are neglected, especially the cancer patients. Yeah. So we just hope that we can have more drugs or more effective drugs for more patients.
Thank you, Chusan. Hope is always a good note to end on. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. Chusan, Deepti, and Dr. Flora, thank you. Do we have time for questions? From Professor Kenneth. We have to take a question from Professor Kenneth.
Well, thank you very much for this time. After hearing what the panel said, I just can't help myself but to, I guess, have to get one point straight. Because all along the discussion, it seems that the word cost is restricted to drug costs only. But to be fair to the pharma industry, cost of drug is not the entire cost. Because when we look at cost, we need to take in other things. A good example, Chusan has demonstrated, is the indirect cost. Because by getting a good drug and then getting back on her feet and going back to work, there's some productivity there. So loss in productivity is cancelled by this response of the drug. So when you talk about drug, cost of drug the productivity loss should be taken out from the cost of drug. So the cost of drug is not really that expensive. Again, Roche didn't pay me.
Actually, there's data that suggests that drug costs are only 25% to 30% of the entire healthcare costs.
So even if drugs were offered for free, we will still have cost in the system. And we didn't pay Professor Kenneth.
Do we want to take any more questions, or are we done?
Just a couple of questions.
Oh, we have many questions.
You want the same microphone to travel.
Come all the way up there.
We have a large, sizable population of vulnerable groups in Malaysia. In Malaysia, we have a large, sizable groups of population, the vulnerable groups. And on top of that, a lot of denial of education, especially for healthcare and oncology care. What is the opinion of the panel here when we deny this large group of people for cancer care? They come to hospital, they have to pay a large amount of money, and if they need chemotherapy, they couldn't pay, and they live with the cancer until the end stage. And we have the benefit of government funding. But this group here, government doesn't fund, the NGOs doesn't fund, local NGO doesn't fund, the foreign NGOs doesn't fund. So this group of people, or we talking more about money and economics, and we have lost our, as a doctor and medical fraternity, we lost our humanity in denying this group of people medical care. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question, but can I just get a clarification on the group of patients that you are referring to?
The refugee.
Okay, the refugee population. Okay, from where I come from, instead of refugees, because I'm from Sabah actually, so I do see a lot of in Sabah, we see a lot of non-Malaysians from neighboring countries, some with proper documents. So I think we don't have much issues with those who are in the country legally, but there are also those who are in the country or in the state without proper documents. So I think that is a major challenge for us as well. It's not easy, but we do encounter them from time to time actually in our public hospital. So how do we treat them? There is a hospital or state. I'm not sure about other places like KL. I think maybe they are experienced with refugees, but for us it's the non-Malaysians, without the legal documents. So it's not easy. Sometimes we do suggest for them to return to their home country to be treated, because if they receive treatment in public hospital, the charges are actually very high for them as non-Malaysians. On our part, if it is an emergency case, sometimes we actually forego the expenses, the costs, if it is like life-saving. But further to that, we actually look into other alternative funding, like for example from NGOs who are able to fund non-Malaysians. I mean we still do try to look into those alternative funding for them. But for emergency cases, most of the time we would treat and actually forego the cost.
I think we can take one more question. Very popular.
Okay, thank you so much for the experience sharings and from all the panels. Okay, I'm Diana, actually a dental postgraduate student. I just want to share some quick experience, personal experience actually, of my husband, which is a lung cancer survivor, non-small cell carcinoma, stage 4. And currently I had the BAP program with Roche, buy one free one like that. Okay, and then Rosalie and Tractinib. Okay, alright. So just one thing I would like to ask that, because we are at the M40 level. So to apply for zakat actually they more for B40 group or Magna. Everyone focus on the B40 groups. But how about us, the M40 groups? Sometimes it's quite, even with the PAP programs, it costs us about 20,000 ringgit for 3 months treatment. So it's quite a lot. Even me with my salary, I cannot afford it actually, to be honest. And it's quite worrying for us. So where we should apply for the for this payment system or some help in that? Because I tried to apply with the JPA. I did that one. We still don't know either we can claim or not for the money for the payment. And then even zakat, when they look at my salary, oh you M40 ni macam tak layak. So that's why, is it because I'm M40 so it's denied for the treatment? Alright, thank you.
Okay, I think I will answer first before I pass the mic to Dr. Dipti. I think because you are a government servant, so JPA is one of the option for alternative funding, because your spouse would be eligible.
It's still in like status quo, not sure yet either they will approve or not the amount.
Okay, I think that one is beyond me. But as a clinician, what we usually do to help our patients is to make the necessary application and make sure that the submission is proper with all the necessary documents. I mean we support the application by doing that, but I think for the whole process, the final approval, I think that is really beyond us. Yeah. But as a Muslim patient also, there is Zakat and other NGOs, and of course there is also patient assistance program, which I think maybe Dipti would like to share. But yeah, the program is already ongoing.
Okay, so I think we can conclude today's panel discussion. If you have any more questions to the wonderful panelists here, you can ask them later during the day. I'm pretty sure they'll be at the Roche booth as well. So please feel free to go and visit the Roche booth. Okay. So we will have one last speaker, but let's just give a round of applause to our wonderful panelists.